I want to know, are you an all or nothing person who it's like either I win or I lost? Or are you someone who can celebrate the little victories along the way? Today, we're going to be talking about embracing progress over perfection, especially when it comes to our finances.
Welcome to the Female Finance Collective podcast, where we encourage women to have open and honest conversations about all things money.
I'm Jen, and I struggled for many years with debt and feeling financially overwhelmed, so I know how frustrating it can be.
And I'm Mary Lee. As a financial planner, I've had the privilege of working with hundreds of women who've transformed their financial lives.
Hey, I'm Sybil. I built my dream life traveling the world and creating financial freedom on a teacher's salary.
Let's start the money conversation.
Yes. Oh my gosh, you've got me thinking, Jed. Am I one or the other? Which one am I? So, what first I think is I am kind of a let's just go kind of girl. I just jump in and try to not have the perfectionist lens on it. But I also know that sometimes the reality is the perfectionist jumps in and kind of slows me down or stops me. So I love this. I love that we're having this conversation today all about progress over perfection, I think is ultimately what we want, right?
100%. But I agree with you because the all or nothing thinking sets us up for failure. And I have experienced that personally many times where I'm like, well, it kind of just makes me think about the New Year's resolutions is what I popped into my brain right away, where people are like, I will go to the gym 5 days a week, no matter what. And then by week two, you got a cold and you couldn't get to the gym. And now you're like, well, that's it. I failed, right? Because we set ourselves up with this all or nothing thinking for failure. Because very rarely can we just do that, right? Very rarely can we just get it all, no matter
No.
what we're working on,
Right.
right? And so I know for sure I could make a big long list of all the things I have, set myself up for failure with because I was like, it's all or nothing. I'm either all in on this or I'm out. And that hasn't really gotten me anywhere, to be honest, right? It just makes you feel bad. It makes you feel like you can't be successful, like a failure. I mean, I've used that word many times, but I guess that's just what keeps coming up for me. And particularly with your finances, we're going to make mistakes. We're going to spend money on something and then later be like, oh, I probably didn't need that. Or, we're going to have things come up that are big expenses that we weren't anticipating, right? These things can happen. And if we have this all or nothing thinking, we're never going to feel like we're making progress. We're never going to feel successful. And so I just really encourage people to let that go, right?
Yeah, I think like an example that just came to mind is a lot of people will think with investing that they can't invest. Investing's not for them because they don't have X amount of money. And you can't invest unless you have X amount of money, let's say $1,000, right? Investing's not for me. So it's all or nothing. It's not for me because I don't have $1,000 to put in to an account, right? And so we just like put up this wall in front of ourselves when we have that kind of all or nothing thinking. Instead, an example I've done in my life is I started a robo advisor account with Acorns, and I put $1 a day per kid, so $2 a day in. I don't know, 15 years ago now, 12 years ago, I don't know. But it's up to $20,000 now. It's very close to $20,000. And if I had just not started that account because I didn't have $1,000 to invest, instead I invested $30 to $60 a month. Right now I invest $100 a month. That's it, right? It wouldn't have grown, right? And so that's an example to hopefully motivate you to not tell yourself, I don't have this, so I can't do this, right? I don't know enough about investing yet, so I won't invest at all, right? That all or nothing thinking just puts this wall in front of us, which is not good because it just stops us.
Right. Right. And also, maybe I'm getting ahead of myself, but I also think like if sometimes it's okay to put a pause, right? Like, oh, I have this huge expense come up. So instead of transferring my $200 a month to my savings, I have to stop that for a few months, use that to pay for this, and then start back up.
Oh
That
my gosh, I
that
would not
is
be in existence without
right.
doing that.
Exactly. So that is not a failure, right?
Right.
The failure would be to just stop saving altogether. The success is that you were able to recognize a situation, solve a problem, pause, put something on pause for a little bit, redirect that money, and then start back up. So if we were in that kind of all or nothing mentality, we wouldn't start back up.
Right.
And so that's the thinking we want to get away from. And we talk about this in Female Finance Collective a lot. I might have just posted in our community about this last week, I think, or the week before, but about celebrating your victories, like celebrating
Yes.
your wins, even if they're small. Every single thing you do that's a step in the right direction matters, right?
Yep.
Whether it's that dollar a day or $5 a month or, you know, skipping takeout once a week when you used to do it 3 times a week. Now you're like, I only go twice a week and I'm redirecting that money somewhere else. Every single one of those victories, no matter how small they feel in the moment, they are worth celebrating because they get you where you want to be.
They are, those 1% better every day or 1% more or less every day, depending on if it's income or expenses or right. Like those, and then celebrating it. I'm trying to remind myself to celebrate each step of the way. Like it's easy to do one time and feels so good. And then I'm like, gosh, I haven't celebrated recently. So thanks for that reminder. I would say another thing that we also talk about a lot in the Female Finance Collective community is redefining our mistakes as learning opportunities. Actually, was our very first episode on this podcast our biggest financial mistakes? I believe it
Oh,
was.
I think you're right. I
I
think
know
you're
for
right.
sure we've done a few episodes on it, but I think it might have been number one. Um, but I still look, some of my financial mistakes haunt me, but I learned from them. I moved forward. And if I hadn't done other things, I wouldn't be where I am today. And so, really redefining them, I like to say fail forward. Learn from it, probably not in the moment. You need to give yourself time, right? But do try to reflect on those mistakes. Think about what could I do differently next time? What maybe there's nothing you could do differently next time, but now you have some knowledge that you didn't have earlier, right? Maybe you can help a friend by giving them that knowledge and helping them prevent them from making the same mistake. But just redefining those mistakes because we are human. We are all going to make them. And if you're not making mistakes, you're probably not doing enough with your money, honestly. There's always going to be a little bit of risk no matter what. Should I buy that purchase or not? That's a risk you're taking because you might not have enough money or whatever. So there's always going to be a little bit of risk. And so just kind of embracing it and taking it back and saying, it's okay. I now know, and I will do different and or help others not make the same mistake.
I agree. I think that there was a time when, and I've talked about this with my debt and all of that, where I was really beating myself up about it. And I was like, this was a huge mistake, just in general, overall, right? Accumulating that debt. But then every time I would buy something that I probably shouldn't have, I'm making air quotes around shouldn't have because I don't know who's shouldn't, I don't know where I was getting the idea that I shouldn't buy that or should buy it or whatever. Um, but every time I spent money that I felt like I should not be spending, then I would feel like that was a mistake, right? And then I would beat myself up about that. But then I would also go back and forth with like, but then am I just supposed to hole up in my house by myself all the time and never buy, you know what I mean? So it was like this push and pull about what were the mistakes, what actually wasn't, like all of that. And I think in the moment, had I been able to sort of redefine those mistakes or those choices and really thought about it as like, okay, how can I learn from this and then move forward? How can I like set, I hesitate to use the word rules, but how could I set like some spending rules for myself? Like, if I'm going to use the 24-hour rule, I'm going to, you know, choose one thing a month that I'm going to spend money on or whatever it is. I think that is an easy way to think about kind of redefining that, right? And some mistakes are smaller and some are bigger. I mean, I've got some huge ones that I made a long time before that, but you know, we don't get anywhere feeling bad about it. Right? My mom always
Exactly.
tells me to stop with the feel bads. That doesn't get us anywhere. And so to start thinking like, okay, what can I learn from this? And then now I can move forward. That's the key, right? And embracing that progress, that's huge progress. If you can learn from a mistake, that's huge progress.
That's
And embracing
huge.
that over the being perfect, like that piece that a lot of us, I say we, but I think a lot of people have that, like, even if it's a tiny piece of perfectionism, there is a part of, I think, just about everybody who hates to not be perfect when they're working on something.
Yeah, yeah. And it's so powerful when you were talking about progress over perfection, right? Like we're talking about just moving forward little bits every day instead of trying to be perfect because what is perfect anyway? Everyone's situation is so different day in, day out. There really is no perfect. And so by telling ourselves that we're striving for perfection, it's actually not even a thing.
Right.
So, to kind of sum up today's episode, we talked about letting go of that all or nothing thinking, letting go of that perfection thinking, letting go of the I have to do it all or I don't do it at all. So, just we're going to all breathe deep and we're going to let it go right now. We also talked about celebrating our wins and especially the small ones because they add up and our brain loves the feedback when we celebrate and know that we're moving forward bit by bit and redefining our mistakes as learning opportunities. So we want you to try out these 3 ways to make progress with your finances, okay? Let us know in the comments below which one you're trying out, and we'll see you next week.